Hey, Natural Born Sistahs. Welcome to another episode of Kinky in the Kitchen, where every swirl, curl, coil, and wave is celebrated. You'll hear inspiring stories from women who have left straight hair, wigs, and weaves behind, despite the discrimination and bias, to reclaim their power by rocking their natural hair. Be it spiraled, kinky, defined, or straight. Whether you're already a natural sister or still finding the courage to unleash your beautiful coils, you're not alone, and you're in the right place. Let's get to know your host. She's passionate about inspiring Black women to rock their natural hair with confidence, teaching our Black natural hair-wearing women how to show up despite hair discrimination and biases. She's natural like you and rocks her kinks in the kitchen loud and proud. She's Lisa E., aka Natural Born Sistah.
What's up, Natural Born Sisters? It's your girl Lisa E., aka Natural Born Sistah, aka Living My Best Life. Welcome to the Kinky in the Kitchen podcast, a show that highlights Black women who are rocking their natural hair with confidence despite discrimination and bias. So last week, we were tuned into Gladia, who is also our episode 2, which is part 2 of this mini professionals edition. And if you thought she brought it last week, this week is no different, sis. The only difference is that she's dropping jewels like you wouldn't believe. And I love how she just offers tips on tips mid-sentence, and you definitely will catch it the way she delivers it. So, since this is her part 2, let's just bring her on without further ado. And I give you Natural Born Sistah, Gladia Etienne.
So, I told myself, let me start a Facebook page. I had like 20 something. So this is like the end of the story. I had like 20 something people who followed me. It was just like friends and family, because I'm not doing the YouTube. And I told myself, I'm just going to start answering people questions. I was in a lot of Facebook group pages that were also about natural hair. And I used to be on there. And sometimes there were people who had 10,000 people in the group and everything. Yeah. And anytime somebody would ask a question about their natural hair, it would be like, oh, try coconut oil. Try this one thing. That's going to solve all your natural hair problems, you know. And I had gotten tired of hearing that, because I was just like, you telling them these one-word answers. They go try coconut oil and they're like, it doesn't work. It's a lie. It's a fluke. Or they tell you, oh, this new product came out. Oh my God, it made my hair super soft, super lovely. Everybody go get it. They go get it. And they're like, oh, I don't have beautiful hair like you. That's why it doesn't work on me. And that hurt, that really hit a soft spot in me, because I was like, no, Lord, like everybody I have 4C hair. Right. I'm getting these results. Like, what was it? What more do I need to understand that I didn't understand before? So I said, this was my mission. I used to tell people, ask me a question and I'll go do the research and I'll bring it to you. And that's what I started doing. I started doing, and that's how I started to learn more about why my hair was actually absorbing a little bit better with this product and not with that product, you know? And I was just like, oh, okay. So every question they asked me helped me to understand something about myself and understand something about them.
That's how it works.
And I just kept going in the flow with that, just asking questions and then finding reputable websites that were, I wish I could remember some of their names. It's been such a long time since I've been on these websites, but it was a couple of them that I trusted, because these girls were featured. They had the results in their hair. Like, they were not just talking to talk. They knew their content. And so people just don't have time to go do the research. Plus, there's countless amount of information out there. Which one do you trust? How do you think? So I was really good at deciphering what I felt was very concise and gave you a step-by-step system, not just a one-word answer, but how am I going to do that? What are the signs I'm supposed to look for? Where do I start? Where do I end? You know what I mean? So I love things like that, because that's how I am, very methodical. I like people to give me precise instructions so I could follow. And then I do. And then I can tweak it here and there afterwards once I start understanding. So that's how I taught. I would bring this information in a very methodical way and ask them certain questions. Do you know your porosity? Because I don't You are just a one random person in the world that's coming to me and asking me about your hair. We're across the world from one another. So I'm not even before you for me to be like, let me feel your hair. Let me see what it looked like. I can't do that. So I need for us to do something so we could start from there. So that's how the porosity test became more popular for me. Do you know your porosity? What is that? What did it do? Oh, like, okay, let me go research it. Just brought it. Told them, this is how you do the porosity test. I want you to do step 1. I want you to do this. Step 2, once you're done, come and tell me. Then I took that information and I went and found more information for them. Oh, you have low porosity. You know what that means? Your hair can't absorb water because your hair shaft is closed. Do you know how you get it open? You have to use some heat. Boom. The heat opens it. The moisturizer gets into the hair, the conditioner gets into the hair. And guess what? You don't want to lose that moisture that you just got into your hair. Guess you have to use cold water now to seal it closed. And they're like, oh, okay. I was like, I want you to try this. This product says it's for low porosity, like your hair. Here's what I want you to do. Go wash your hair. Do this. Start with that process. Condition it. Go under the dryer for like a few minutes. Take it out, rinse it with cold water. Tell me how it looked. They'll come back. Oh my God. And I'm like, then I would do high porosity, starting to learn more about that. I'm like, okay, their hair shaft is constantly open, so they need something to keep it closed. So I'm like, okay, you don't really need heat because the conditioner gets in. They don't have problem getting moisturizer. Is keeping the moisture in is their issue. Us, we just can't get it in. So you just feel like the product is just sitting on the top of your head, not doing nothing, not getting absorbed. Now you understand why. So I'm like, I'm just getting like over time. I'm just like, there's a science to this, people. I didn't even know. Like I'm doing it, but I didn't really understand until these women was asking questions. So they will be in random group pages. I would answer the questions and they were like, where can I get more? Where can I get more? I'm like, you know what? Follow me here. That's where I have a group page. If you want more, I will be posting all these contents there for you guys to go back and refer to it. I started to create my own steps. And then I started to learn about hair density. I started to learn about hair type. People don't take importance to that. I didn't think it was important either. I just thought like, oh, everybody has a pattern. Until I realized God gave me all my sisters for a reason. Although I have 7 sisters, all have different textures. Same mom, same dad, different textures. Remember,
really? Is it like a wide array of textures?
Like a 3A to 4C range.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Yeah.
And I told you about my daughter and my son.
Yeah.
My son is like 4C. By nature. My daughter is more like 3A, 3B. The reason why I was saying 3C, because if her hair stay really dry and I don't do nothing, it just look like that. But let me tell you, I just put water in her hair and don't do like get a Denman brush and bare minimal effect. And her hair is like super curly. I didn't have to put much effort to it. Whereas my son, I'm there all day. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah.
And I'm braiding his hair and he's tender headed. And I have to blow dry his hair just so I could braid it. So it could be manageable just so I could braid it. You know what I mean? Because that's how thick his hair was. And he has a small head with all this hair. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So I'm just like, okay, something is off. My mom used to do cholesterol treatment. I don't know if you've ever had that done.
Yes.
Here. Egg wash. Or cholesterol. And she used to do it for all of us. And I remember when we were young. And some of us will be silky smooth. Beautiful. Like she just put it on and it's like the curls are popping. Their hair is wavy. All she have to do is rinse and it's super glossy. And then me, on the other hand, like she had to peel the crust off of my head because my hair got harder.
Wow. How did that make you feel seeing your other siblings' hair and then you had to go through that?
Me. Around that time, there was a couple things that was a stigma. My skin color and my hair. My sisters are on the fairer side because my father is light skinned.
Okay.
Like he get called Dominican, even though he was born in Haiti. He has suave hair. He's black. You know what I mean? And my sisters who took after him, they have his complexion. So I was like, technically, let's just say that I was the black sheep of the family.
Yes. Okay. I hear you.
The dark skin one.
And it's crazy because you're not even dark skinned, which is
I'm not even that dark.
Right.
That dark, but I'm dark. You know what I mean?
In comparison, yes.
Correct. In comparison to my sisters. Oh, why your sisters prettier than you?
What?
Why is that? Why you don't look like them? You know, things like that. And
the boldness, I swear. Well, they don't know if you was going to give them right hook. They don't know. You just come out and say that.
Like, I had right hooks at that time. I was very a timid child, and
I was too.
Very insecure. Always thought everybody was just better than me. Mm-hmm. I was just not better. But there was a story to that. Later on, I realized my father wasn't my biological father. So there was something to it. Mind you, I'm the eldest. So it was not until I was like 22 years old when I found
okay.
So, but they used to tell me that all the time. Why are you the ugly one? Why are your sisters so pretty? And you have, this skin and you have this hair, like I just thought everything was
crazy. Oh my God.
Everything was wrong with me. But I used to defend myself because I used to say things like, well, my mother's dark skin and my father's light skin. Do the math. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I look like my father because my father was like a slim version like me. And my mother had the complexion of my skin texture. Like even her kids, they used to be like, that's not your kids. They used to tell her that. You can't have these pretty kids. Ain't no way those are your children. My mother had to deal with that. You know what I mean? Because she's dark skinned and she has beautiful curly haired babies that are light skinned.
Wow.
Can't possibly be your child. So I was, on the other hand, I was not aware of that, but I had my own prejudices that were happening against me. And I was just like, well, my dad is light skinned. My mom is dark. Do the math. Like, that's how I used to defend myself. Like, they just dumb. They don't understand.
Basically.
Until I got older and I was just like, oh, so I was really different. But I was different in a sense, personality wise. I was different with a lot of things. Like I didn't see how they saw things. I didn't act the way they acted. It was just always like I had to be the odd one in the midst of a huge family. I was the leader. I had to be the one to keep everything together. I had to be the one, even when I was hurt, I couldn't be hurt, and it cost me a lot as I got older because it really made me super insecure and not really understanding what it meant to be beautiful. Right. Up until I took on this challenge with myself to do something for my daughter, to know that I wanted to have a representation that was in our circle. That's all I wanted. I was like, she has nobody to be like, oh, she's doing it. And I love her hair like that. I'm going to continue on. Nobody was doing that. Better yet, everybody was trying to convince, ooh, Nana, I can't wait. That's her name, Gladia, but we call her Nana.
That's pretty.
Thank you. And they're like, I can't wait to perm your hair. It would be so pretty. I'm like, they are already brainwashing her. And I was like, I'm not having it no more. This process, though I thought I was doing it for my daughter, I really was doing it for myself.
Okay.
I ended up finding me.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up understanding what it means to love everything that you are. Like, I was the one not wearing makeup. I was the one not doing this. I went from the bottom of the barrel to the most talked about all of a sudden. And trust me, it wasn't like I took it as a compliment. I took it almost like they just want to be nice to me. I didn't even believe it. Oh, they're just saying that because they want to be nice or they want something from me. So even though I was getting these beautiful compliments, I didn't let it absorb into me. I didn't believe it. I looked in the mirror and I was just like, oh, there's an ulterior motive to everything. They're just saying it. Even my husband, who told me how many times I'm beautiful, like how many times I have to hear it from him. I knew there was something wrong with my mind. I couldn't accept what was actually happening. So now all these people that were talking about me or unhappy about the decision today, after I started the group page and started to, really answer people questions, that page went from 26, and within a year, less than a year, it was 5,000 people.
Nice.
In the group page.
And that's just based on you answering questions.
Just answering questions. And people were actually doing it. They had a system. They had something. They're like, okay, by the time they joined in the group, I was like, the first question I'm asking, what is your porosity? Do you know your hair type? And then I gave instructions if you didn't. This is exactly what you're going to do. Once you do, I don't give them nothing more than that. Come back with that answer. And then
I like that. Yeah.
I'll tell you what's next. What is the problem that you have? Oh, I want my hair to grow. Okay. Before we can even grow your hair, I need to know your hair. Before I can even tell you to moisturize your hair, I need to know something we can start off with. And that way we can trial and error it going.
Okay.
Instead of
and what time was this? Was this how?
This was, definitely 2015.
Okay. So you still there. Okay.
Still there. Still in that year. The group page in November, I remember how it was just growing. I was just getting people 100. And, the more engaged your group is, the more Facebook allow people to see your group so that people are able to join. So like hundreds, I'm telling you, it was crazy. And I'm by myself. I'm just admitting like 100. And I'm like, I have to create a system. The first thing they need, once I welcome them, all the names, they have this quick thing, just welcome them. And I tell them, here's the steps, welcome. And then step number 1, I need to know what your hair type is, your porosity, and tell me what is their hair goals. Just 3 little simple steps for them. And then from there, I tell them what's the next. So I created, if you go to the page, whoever's listening is facebook.com/groups/ I am natural, NATURELLE. And if you go there, that's how you're admitted. That's how you get welcome. And people are like, okay, now I have something. I have some type of guidance. She's not just saying coconut oil. She's not just saying one thing. She's giving me information about my hair I would have never thought to even want to know. Now I know. Now I have they have something to start off with. And people, it was buzzing around. People want to join people. And then my family, all of my siblings are now natural.
Really?
One by one.
Nice.
One by one. All of my friends that had issues with it are now natural today. I've had the privilege of big chopping a couple of their hairs. And this is not me asking them. This is them seeing and wanting to do this process. Just like when I was just showing people online, then I started to post pictures about my natural hair on my Gladia's Natural personal fan page.
Okay.
And I've right now has over 13,000 people on there just following me just because they like me, just because it's not particularly anything with teaching. Okay. But they were just curious, what is she doing with her hair? So I have all types of people, but my group page is very specific. These are people who will come in here and they want to learn about their natural hair. So a lot of Nigerians, a lot of people from South Africa, a lot of people from the United States as well have collaborated to come in just to ask their questions and find some type of system to get their hair started. But today now is over 7,000 people on there. I had slowed down after the pandemic started. I used to do weekly workshops in my church, in my local church in Brooklyn. And that's where people used to come in and pay for me to teach what I realized was a 7-step system.
Okay.
And I really believed in it because everybody who were doing it were getting actual results. They were like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I finally have something that's working for me, not necessarily what she's doing. Just follow this system, know your porosity, know this, know that. And then we have somewhere to start. Right. And then from there, we can just wait. Okay, how long did you use this? Are you allergic to this product or blah, blah, blah? You know, now I can really wean down and get something that works specifically for you. Not what I'm doing, but what works for you based off the same principles that I believe we all should know about our hair. Now, you don't have to I didn't go through that process. I didn't need to know my porosity necessarily. I was just trying different products and I was like, oh, this one worked. You know, I didn't understand why until I started to understand what porosity is. I was like, oh, that's why it worked. That's why I was doing this. That's what you know, then I was doing a lot less. People like to put a lot of heavy products in their hair. And I'm like, no, keep it as simple as possible so that you know what is working and what is not.
Right.
When you know for sure this is working, at least some people would do something one day and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. No, mama, you need to do this for at least 4 weeks. Exactly. Allow your hair to adapt to this change that you're doing. So it was really one of something I never expected. I'm a nurse. I graduated in 2011 as a nurse. I would have never, ever thought that this natural hair thing would have been a thing for me. And it all started because I wanted to be an example to my daughter. And in the process, I ended up learning more about myself spiritually too. And then helping a lot of other women to do the same. When I was doing the workshop in my local church, I remember when I first started barely getting anybody to come in. They would pay, but they wouldn't show up, you know, and I would just sit there the whole day. I'm like, you paid your money anyway. I'll sit here. If you show up in the last minute, I'll still teach, you know, but they didn't show up. But eventually I started in 2019 was my year of, oh my gosh, like people are starting to understand it. That same year also, I wrote my first ebook called The Ultimate Guide to Rocking That Natural Hair. That same year I launched my workshop, and then I was booked, like people were booked. The whole year was like booked, you know, before the class would even start. And people were actually coming. I had a student fly in from Switzerland just to be in this $65 course that she couldn't find in her area. And she wanted to love her natural hair.
Nice.
And I was just like, okay, Lord, you're doing something. You're doing something more bigger than I would have ever anticipated. And I don't feel like I'm unique to anybody, but what was unique about how I was doing it was what drawn these people to me. What gave me insight more, because I didn't have all this education myself. I don't know any of this. I actually just fed off of information that was already readily available, but I went and did the research, brought it with them. And then I started to see a pattern, and I'm like, okay, step 1, let's do this, because that will help me to help you. Step 2, do this. That will help me to help you. Then 3, then 4, then 5. And I'm like, I think you should know also, because that's why I think I'm all over the place. That's why I was bringing up about the hair type. I realized with all my sisters who had different hair type ranges, and I was telling you I used cholesterol, and why was mine hard and hers wasn't? Why was hers silky and mine was like a Brillo pad? And I started to understand about the protein level in our hair. I found that people who were more 4C needed to use a lot less protein.
Okay.
Only time you would need to use protein is if your hair was damaged. Go try to put protein in your hair and tell me how it is.
Now, let me ask you a question. Is avocado considered protein?
Yeah.
Because I tried an avocado mask as one of the sisters in the group. She does avocados, and she told me to try it. But I noticed when I put it in my hair, it was very hard. Like I couldn't hardly get it out of my hair. Okay. So I'm thinking, why is it not working for me? It's working for other people. Got it.
3A to 3C is most likely going to benefit from an avocado mask.
Okay.
4A's to 4C's, y'all going to struggle.
Good research on your part.
Here's how I knew, because also when I had to perm, I had to perm more frequently, every 6 weeks. Why did I need to? Protein in our hair, and I'm just going to do a little education right now, teaching right now. Protein in our hair is a protective. Our hair is made from protein, but it's also served as a protection against chemicals and things like that.
Wow.
And the thicker your hair is, like us with the 4C hair type, we have a lot more protection against these chemicals. So you need to do a lot more to get it in because the protection layer is strong already. Now, somebody who's 3A, 3C, notice they could just put silky water and their hair is just drops. It looks silky smooth and a lot curlier because the protein level in their hair is a lot less.
Okay.
So for them to take care of their hair, they need protein because they need protectiveness to it. Protection, more protection. So protein is like an added protection for them. So when they put it, the hair really like says, thank you. Oh, I needed this. Somebody like me, I don't need that. I don't need as much. That doesn't mean you don't need protein. It just means you don't need to be doing a protein wash every month, every week. You need to do a lot less, especially when your hair is damaged. That's the time you want to use the protein because the protein will help to heal the hair. But after that, you don't need to continue on. The rest of them, they need that body. They need that protection. You know, my daughter needs that. It's gonna love it because their hair lacks it. So that's why when I used to perm my hair was resistance against
mine's too.
And against the perm. So I had to use 2 relaxers just to get it bone straight. Whereas my sister permed her hair every 6 months.
Wow.
Because her hair would fall out. Her hair will feel it's too much for her. And I didn't understand why. I'm like, well, she just got good hair and I don't. That was the solution for me. That was the answer to that. So for those of you who are like, man, my hair is just too hard, too not good, it's not doing it. I'm telling you, it's just understanding the science behind your hair. Your hair can do those things, but there's other things you don't need because your hair already has it. My hair didn't break when I was perming. It grew. It got healthier.
It grew.
I did because I have protection. And my sisters, if they did it more, they would lose their hair.
That's crazy.
Because they had 3A, 3C hair type. They didn't have enough protection for their hair.
So after hearing that, it's like, there's no such thing as good hair because there's different things with different hair. Like you might have this negative thing for this hair, for this type, and then you might have a negative, but then there's a positive for the ones you feel that's negative. So it's like a never ending cycle. But I like that the fact that you did that research, girl, you did it and you figured it out. I would have never known that after talking to you today. I'm sure a lot of people that's going to hear this is going to have a lot of insight on it now because I've never had that insight, especially with my hair. And I always thought that 4C wasn't popular. Again, going back to those videos, why wasn't 4C displayed as much as the other 4 types of hair? And it's just like, now this is like a huge eye opener for me. I know it's going to be a huge eye opener for others. Thank you. That was awesome.
I thought when I started, I was like, wait a minute. That makes sense now.
And I'm listening to how much you charge. I'm like, this is like a $200 and something dollar.
Okay. Well, now it's no longer available. It's, I'm giving it actually for free, which we'll talk about more. But yeah, $65. People who came to my course was like, why are you not charging more? They left there so like, because they had to come to the class with their hair freshly washed because we did the porosity test right then and there. I got to look at the hair to pick out what their hair type, what is closest to, all that good information, and then give them an actual calendar, a plan. Right. This is what we're going to do with your hair within 2 hours. So it really opened my eyes. I didn't know. Like, it was not until I was answering these questions that I was like, wait, slow down. Wait, I think my mind was just like blowing. I think 4C hair is the protein that is in our hair is heavy. Anybody that have 4C hair that has used protein told me the same thing. My hair got harder when I did a protein treatment to my hair.
Yes. And
somebody who had like a 3A, 3C, 3A to 3C had a lot, a better result to the process. And then funny thing, I've had all types of other people join the class. I've had an Asian join the class. I had a white person join the class, a Caucasian person join the class. And because I wasn't specific in my marketing, I was just talking about, kinky curly hair, like really, what does that mean? Until these people showed up in the class and I'm like, oh, I don't know if what I'm teaching is going to help you because I'm teaching what I know about people with hair textures like mine. So I didn't really study their hair for me to give you relevant information and feel secure. So I would have rather gave them back their money. And they're like, no, I just want to sit through the class and see how you're doing. I'd like to know, whatever. And turned out the same process was helping them.
Oh, so the same process applies to
same process was applying to them. But I don't claim it because, like I said, I don't know the hair. This is just off of their feedback with me. And they're like, I've learned so much about my hair. My hair is able to do this now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, all right, I don't want to put no claims on it. But I just wanted everybody to know that there is a foundation. There is a science behind your hair. And if you can understand the basics, because we didn't have that. All we knew was Vaseline, most of us, for natural hair, or pomade, the pomade. Yep. You know what I'm saying? We never put water in our hair when water is the primary thing you need to use before even styling your hair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We are not taught none of that.
Nope.
Until I realized when I started to do the process and my hair is actually bouncy and flowy in twists, I would never, if I left my hair like this, like the way it is right now, super dry and just twist it, it'll just be, sticking up all over the place. You just feel a beautiful.
Same with mine.
I don't mind my hair. Our hair defies gravity, which is another beautiful thing. But when I wet it and I twist it, now my curls dry straight and it's super bouncy.
Wow.
See the health in it.
Wow.
I could tell when my hair is unhealthy. I hate when my hair is not snapping back. When you lose elasticity, people used to complain about shrinkage. Shrinkage is your best friend. If it's not, there's no elasticity, your hair's damaged. The more elasticity, the more healthier your hair is. They don't understand that. So you got to teach them that. They want their hair to be lengthy. So when I do twists in my hair, I usually use a band of, strings to tie my hair down. It's the African style where you just twist the hair with yarn or something like that to really stretch the look.
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like 4 big sections after I finish twisting my hair and little twists all over. And then I take it out. Now my twist has nice length retention. I didn't use heat. My hair's still healthy and it's bouncing all over the place. And the people are just like in awe. They're like, what did you do? How did you do it? I wanted to look like this myself. So simplicity. I've learned the less I did, the better it got. I've learned that there is a foundation for each and every one of us. There's no such thing as you have good hair and she doesn't, or she does, she has good hair and you don't. God gave us hair. You're literally born with it.
That's right.
You're born with it. So it's supposed to thrive. We just don't know how to make it thrive. We were told otherwise. We were told straight is better. Straight is prettier. Long is pretty. Anything opposite of that, you are ugly.
Right. That's it. Straight up. That's what they would say. Yeah.
You're unprofessional. You are a mess. You don't look put together. So I'm big on looks. for myself because, like, again, I had low self-esteem. So taking care of myself was really important. But then when I started to understand my hair in the ways it do, especially when I used to leave my hair out in actual fro, I used to go to work like that, in predominantly, high-end Caucasian places. And every time I had my hair in a nice slick bun, they were like, "Oh, you look professional today," emphasizing professional. And then the times I had my hair out, it was just like no compliments, no remarks. It was just more almost like they're intimidated by me coming like that or embarrassed, And so I tend to show up more often with my hair in a fro. So people get comfortable with being uncomfortable with you until you're comfortable.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. I shared a story the other day where my coworker at work, he's a white man. So it's like only about 4 of us on this team. So we have a Hispanic, she's Puerto Rican, she's our manager. And then there's 3 of us. So there's 2 white guys and myself. So I'm the only Black person. Mm-hmm. And I tend to wear my hair like you see it now. It's like almost fro-y like. So, because I can see like little curls when I do it like that. So I love that. Mm-hmm. So one day I got my hair done. I think it was 2 weeks. This was just happened 2 weeks ago. And I knew when I transitioned, I'm not going to say in transition. I knew that when I embraced my hair, that no one was going to say anything about it. They're not going to like it. And I didn't care. So right. I got my hair, how you say you do the 2-strand twist. So when you do that to my hair, it stretches the hair. So I have more length. So it was coming down and it was pretty. I liked it. And it looked, the way my hairdresser did it, my hair had a little shine to it too. So I went to work and I get on the camera because we have to be on camera. The first thing he says is, "Good morning, Lise. Your hair is nice. I like your hair." So I said, "Thank you." So what I did the next morning, I purposely manipulated my hair to get it back like this because I felt like I had my hair like this for almost 2 years. And this is the first time I've ever gotten a compliment. I said, "You know what? I'm good. I don't need compliments." I put my hair back the way it was and nobody didn't say anything about it then. So I said, I don't need to have my hair away just to get compliments. I'm putting my hair back the way. So you can see that I like my hair the way I had it the day before when you didn't see it like this.
It's my sister.
So yeah, so it's weird how people are. It's like and I felt like he was doing it because he wants me to see my hair like that more often. Okay, this is what I like, Lisa. This is what you should do. Nope.
That's what you should do. No. And this is why we're speaking for those who's coming after us. You know what I mean? That's how I felt in the field. I was like, I'm going to stand up for my girls. I'm professional. You know who's best at this job, in this nursing job? I am right now. You need me, not my hair. You need me as a person. My hair is not influencing my work ethic in any kind of way.
That's right.
So if I'm here, I earned the right, just like you went to school and you got your degree. It wasn't about your hair. It was about your brains. It's the same thing with me. I got my degree in the same manner. And when I got there, first to be one of the best workers there, you know what I mean? And then to be one of the most you're one of the controversial ones there as well, because you're not bending to how they envision a successful Black professional woman to look or act. I was very professional for sure, but she tends to do her hair in very unconventional ways, And I was just like, yeah, and I'm going to keep showing up. I showed up to work with Bantu Knots. I showed up to work with braids. I've showed up to work with faux locks. I've showed up to work with crochets. I showed up to work with fros. I showed up to work. And I have pictures in my lab coat, in the bathroom, snapping my picture and then going back to work. You know what I mean? Because I wanted the world to see what a professional Black woman looked like on a day-to-day basis. So
I love that. Yes.
You get used to it. Instead of you always feeling shocked, you're like, oh, this is a professional Black woman at work. Mm-hmm. Simple. Yeah. Not my hair, not this. You can tell when somebody is not well groomed. You know what I mean?
Right. You really can.
It's a huge difference. Our hair naturally defies gravity. Our hair naturally do things that somebody with a lot straighter hair wouldn't experience. So for you to want me to look like that requires me now to have to harm myself in order to attain a false image of myself.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yes.
I have to now pretend. I have to now sit with the chemicals burning. Till this day, I still get scabs.
Me too.
And I don't even know why. I was getting scabs when I used to perm, sitting there, letting it burn for as long before I could rinse it out because I wanted to be straight. I don't want it to be thick anymore because I could go to work in peace. I could look pretty. It's not fair. I don't want my daughter to have to feel that she has to do all that just so she could get, you're pretty. Just to get, you can get this job now because you look like one of us. It's unfair. And we deserve the love that just like a person who has long, straight, beautiful hair getting accepted as they are, I should feel the same. I should feel comfortable. But also we're not educated. We don't know how to manage our hair. We only know one particular way. And it's not necessarily the best way because our hair can do a lot more than you think it can. And so when I was invited into this beautiful, beautiful journey, I started to learn my hair. Now my hair can be straight when I want. It could be curly. It could be kinky. It could do all sorts of things that I would have never dreamed or imagined. Whereas somebody with just straight hair, there's not that much versatility that can come with it sometimes, in comparison to how my hair can really just be almost like a crown, like a decoration almost. You could do just about any, and that's one of my biggest joys, especially being the eldest of 8 children, having the privilege of doing my sister's hair and just, we were girls who loved doing our hair. My mom used to take us to salons because she had a lot of girls and she's like, listen, we're going to get our hair done, but I want you to learn what they're showing you because we're not coming back no more.
Right.
We'll go home and I'll be watching how they do the sew-ins. I'll watch how they do whatever. And then we go home and we did it ourselves. We bought the stuff. We did it ourselves. Bantu Knots, I promise you. I know people are going to be like, no, you lied. I'll be like, I promise you. I think me and my sisters thought about that, created the Bantu Knots because that's all we did when we used to relax our hair. We didn't buy curling irons. We would just Bantu knot our hair up in the night, tie it down, and then we take it out and it's just in these big juicy curls.
Wow.
And then over time, when I see Bantu Knots, I was like, Bantu Knots?
Yeah, they're coming for you, Gladia. They're coming for you. They're like, this girl ain't even no damn Bantu. They're coming for you.
Well, I forgot what my sisters and I used to call it. I think it was like curl twisters, whatever, because we wanted our hair to be curly in the morning. So we didn't want to have to curl our hair. We just twist it up. We just twist, wrap it around and then twist it into a knot. And then we would do that to our whole head, tie it down, go to sleep. This is when we were perming our hair. So this is way back in the 2000s.
Way before. So yeah.
Before you even started, this is what we were doing. We didn't go out with it because we were like, that's our, like having rollers in your hair. That's what it was for us.
Mm-hmm,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we just would go to sleep, wake up. And then I started to see the actual style in the natural world. And I remember being brave because I'd never done it before. I did a Bantu knot and I went to work with it. They looked at me weird. Trust me.
Of course. Yeah.
They were like, what did she do to her hair now? So we are beautiful, man.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I love our hair. There's so much perception in our hair. It's like, look with me. Now, if you look at my hair, I don't know if you could tell, but I have thinning on the top. My hair is super thick in the back and it's thinning on the top. So when I wear my hair naturally, I can perceive it to be to make it look like it's thick, even though it's really not. It is because, like you said earlier, our hair does grow up. It defies gravity. So that's actually a little bit more of a push to get it, to manipulate it the way I want it, so that it can look like it's not really so it can look thick, even though it's not really thick.
That's a good thing you said, because you did ask for a tip.
Yeah.
Try mousse.
Okay. Really?
For thinning. Mousse.
So what type of mousse? Because I know there's different types. Not the hard one, I guess. Or maybe the hard one.
What type? You want to find one that is primarily water-based.
Okay.
Like, the only way you're going to know if a product is water-based is based on the ingredients that are listed. The first 5 ingredients are the key ingredients to feel like this product is healthy, because I also talk about finding healthier products for our hair. So the first ingredient listed, I would like to see it says agua, water, or aloe, or something like that, because that says 90% of that product is water-based.
Okay.
Or majority, not just 90%, but majority of that product is water, because as the ingredients go down on the list, is the less amount that concentration of that particular ingredient is in that product. So if the last ingredient on that product was like coconut, right? Coconut oil or something like that, then you know it doesn't have that much coconut oil in that entire product.
Okay.
And if you see water in the first list, or alcohol, I try to keep away from alcohol as the first ingredient. Alcohol naturally dries out our hair type. And so the first ingredient shouldn't be an alcohol. You want to kind of walk away from that. You want to look for something that's hydrating, like water, glycol. There's many different words to tell you that this is a moisturizing, water-based product. Right. And I have my actual book coming out, even with more details. My ebook has all this information, but now that I'm rewriting the book to be a physical copy now, I can't wait to release it. But it's going to really give you like, okay, what does moisture mean in the chemical world? When you're picking up a product and you're looking at the back of the ingredient, you want to know, is this good for my hair? I just want to know if this is good for my hair. I teach you how to read that quickly. I teach you what those words are, so that you pick up that product. You're like, nope, that's not for me. Staying away from that based on my porosity, based on my hair type, based on this. You already know what to stay away from. And then you also already know what's toxic to your health that you don't want to keep putting into your hair. So understanding that with you for the mousse, just make sure the first ingredient is water and things that you can actually read. It could say coconut nufuris or something like that, but in parentheses, it would say coconut oil. So you know that that's what that term stands for. The more you can read in that product, the better the product is for your hair. Makes sense. More ingredients that you cannot read, where they don't even tell you what it is, that's is majority, in my opinion, it's mostly chemicals in there.
I see.
Not healthy for you. So I try to stick with people who are clear of, and not too many ingredients in there that has a lot of just chemical. And you putting that in your hair. One use is not going to harm you. But now imagine how many times you have to wash your hair. Probably once a month or twice a month. Some of us 4 times a month. You know what I mean? You're putting that same thing, deep conditioning. Oh my God, conditioning. You're doing that like God knows how many times in a year. It's the consistent use of these that end up damaging our bodies, that end up giving us cancer, that end up giving us fibroids, that end up giving us other issues that they're not going to display. Eventually, they're going to be like, oh, we found that this chemical in this product has been linked to X and Y, X, Y, and Z disease. So for me, I'm just like, let's just be educated about it right now and not wait until that happens for me to want to change.
Right. I think I talk about that in episode 12. Yeah, absolutely.
Prevention.
I totally agree. Yeah. Well, before we end it off, I do want to talk about your podcast. How did you get started with it, and where is it going to be moving forward?
Yeah, the podcast is called Our Hair Podcast. And I started it, I believe, in 2018-ish, if I'm not mistaken. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do with the podcast per se, like what I was going to be talking about. But I was just like, let me just talk about, doing natural hair up until I fell across a book, the science behind Black hair care, something like that, by I forgot her name, but Sivasathi is her last name. And I found that book because it's literally like, you remember textbooks back in the days where you were in school and you had a science textbook? This is a science textbook for natural hair.
Okay.
That she sat down and really went in depth about what our hair is. And that's how my podcast started to really take trail off, because I was like, you know what? Not a lot of people have this book or would be able to afford it in their life, or even think to want to know that information. Or if they have the book, it might be just sitting on the shelf, not doing anything because they don't have time to read it. They don't have time to process all that information. I started to use that book as my guideline in the podcast. And I used to interview a few people who, one of the people I've interviewed is Dr. Debbie Williams. She's one of the, she's a woman who went to school specifically to learn about natural hair. And she has a doctorate degree in that, going in depth, finding out what's going on inside of our body that's affecting our hair. And she create products for women with kinky hair, how to get your hair manageable again. So she does a test that's a hair analysis test that tests what's going on inside the body. So they know what minerals you lack and what minerals you have sufficient amount. And those minerals are actually linked to how our hair grows and how to take care of it. So she's one of the few people that I've interviewed in my podcast. But overall, the podcast is there to really give you that step-by-step system. So instead of trying to read a full book or whatever, I literally break down little sections. Here, do this, and then we're going to move on to the next step on the next wow. episode. You know what I mean? So it's very, very tailored so people can actually consume the information and actually get the results they be looking for. But now more in depth. What I'm teaching, this 7th step, is not as in depth. It's just really to get you started, getting you in the flow. This book is really like understanding your follicles, understanding what's zone 3 of my hair. What is zone 3? What is moisture versus protein deficiencies? Like, these are real things that I didn't understand, that I'm like, oh my gosh, the more I bite size it, the better I understand my hair. The more I'm like, that's why I don't do this, or that's why you should do this, based on these little tests. And my book would include that as well. But going forward, after the pandemic, I believe in 2021 was the last time I had a post. I'm hoping in the upcoming year that I get back in the flow of really just interviewing people and continuing with the book that I started with, and just hone down into it, so that when people go on there, they're not bombarded by how I'm probably teaching right now, where you're like, oh my gosh, so much information. I don't even know where to start, what to do. But this is like, really, I want it to be a step-by-step process for everyone who get on and they have a conversation where they're like, you know what, when I press play with this, even if I didn't learn nothing else about my hair, this one thing I learned today, right now, in this moment. And you walk away feeling empowered. You walk away feeling educated. And not only that, you walk away passing it down to your children's children. This information will stay behind. And we leave a legacy. We leave a generation that understand who they are, number one. And what it means to be natural. And being natural is who I am.
Right. Everything you just said is very important. And I always talk about our children coming into it. They are so blessed to be able to come into what we are trying to do now, as far as not make everyone, but hoping and praying that every woman decides to embrace their natural hair. And since it's going to be easier for our children coming in now because they're coming into it because we're doing it. Our parents weren't doing it, my parents definitely wasn't doing it. It all stems from back then. So now this is where it's almost like a new beginning because it's the children that's coming in now that's going to benefit from being natural and being who they are and being able to accept themselves for who they are. And I think that's a blessing that at least it starts somewhere, and I want to be living to be able to see that. I want to be on this earth to be able to see that. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had a question for you. Your natural hair, is it that color? Is that your hair?
My hair is okay. I've been graying since I've been in my 20s. And I'm the only person in my family that grades so early. And I don't know why. I've tried to do some research. I think I even did an episode on it. I tried to link it to some research that maybe it's something internal that's going on. But I used to always rinse my hair when I got perms. I got rinse color. Like I never really did dyes or anything like that. But I've always made sure that it wouldn't show. But then I got to the point, it was in my 30s where I said, I'm so sick of it because 2-3 days later, gray is popping back out again. So it didn't make any sense. It was a waste of time and money for me to even get my hair done. So I just allowed it to be gray. And I remember there was a time, and I don't know if you remember Gladia, but maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little less, the gray phenomenon started to happen. People were wearing gray hair and weaves and wigs.
Yep.
That's when I said, you know what? I think I'm going to try to at least expose my gray because I felt like going natural would have been a double whammy for me. I'm gray and it's kinky. It's like, that's too much. But what I did was, it was hard to buy like hair that was the same color as mine, like to get the weaves. And so I would get custom wigs done in gray. I would also get like partial weaves. Like I had my hairdresser do this one style. So my hair was real short. It was like a real short style all around here. And then like I had got like a weave something because I always like the swoop. I always like that. And now I got a weave it was pretty, but it didn't last long. And I didn't like it after a while. So I think I took it out like maybe 2 or 3 days later. But it was so pretty the first 2 days. I mean, I tried everything. But here I am now. It's just like, I just love my hair this color.
I don't even know how to explain it, how beautiful it is. I don't know. That's one of the things I highlight in my group page as well. A lot of information for people who naturally graze. I've have a couple of friends who are graying and they're now learning to just embrace it. Before they were doing the same thing, but now they're just like, you know what? I'm just going to have to embrace it. I got my first gray hair just recently. I just saw it just
really
right here, just one curl, and I'm just like, oh, my just a little side note. I remember, because how kids are shady and whatnot. I was, I think my knees, something happened with my knees, and I was like, oh, ow. And my daughter was just like, oh, so first the gray hair, now the knees.
Oh,
I went and took several steps, contemplating about my life, about who I am. I was like, wow, that was just like a blow, like a very low undercut.
Yes, it was. It was.
So, but yeah, I love it. I told myself, however God wants to do it, I want it to be as graceful as possible. And you look flawless. Like,
thank you.
You look like you're silver-ish. You don't even look gray. It just look like a pepper, like a silver peppery kind of color. And it just compliments you so well.
Thank you. I've learned to embrace it. That's probably why. Yeah. Thank you.
When we embrace it, you see it. And I think that was the key for me when things started to actually come together. I started to love it.
Yeah.
Love is very powerful.
Yes.
If you love a plant and you speak right to it, it flourishes. That's a plant.
Yes.
So let alone your own self, love is a powerful healing agent.
I like that. Yes.
Like, we could talk about all the ingredients and all that. We could talk about the products and all that. But if you don't start to really actually loving what you were given, you're not really going to see how it thrives.
Absolutely.
So I think you look absolutely stunning. And I just wanted to share that because I was like, I know she's not dyeing it. Can't be.
No. The chemical phase is over.
This is beautiful. It's so rich.
Thank you.
Wow.
Appreciate that.
Beautiful.
Well, on that note, we are going to end it here. I want to thank you so much, Gladia, for coming on the show. You've given me a lot of insight. I'm sure you've given others the same. The inspiration was overwhelming, and I enjoyed even talking to you. I felt like we've been friends for a while, and now you just keeping me up to date and giving, what's been going on. So I felt that was a very good experience. I want you to continue in your journey, whatever it is that you're going to do. You and I, we have plans to work together. We're going to figure that out and see what that is. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more to you about it more sooner than later. So we'll see what that goes. But again, thank you for coming on the show.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Really.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good one.
You too, love.
Well, I most definitely enjoyed my sessions with Gladia. She is most definite inspiration to us all. I got really sad of all the things she's gone through as a child, even through her adult years. I loved her resilience despite being a timid young girl. I love the fact that she loves her children's hair and how important it is to her that they accept themselves, starting now and learning how to deal with the stigmatisms that come their way so that they may enjoy their natural hair journeys without issues. And I love the way she helped women of all races with their natural hair. I love the way she became brave through her natural hair journey. I just loved it all. And I hope her story resonates with you to help you through your natural hair journey so that you may step out in style and confidence. Comment your thoughts on the podcast or even on the Kinky in the Kitchen YouTube channel. And Gladia has chosen the Texture Queen tee, which in my opinion is perfect for her. Because if you can relate to Gladia's story, you'll see what I'm talking about when it comes to that t-shirt as well. Get you one, sis. They're only $20 up to size large, and then the price increases up a couple of dollars for larger sizes, of course. And you won't regret it, sis. And don't forget, we're keeping the conversation going on our Kinky in the Kitchen podcast discussion group on Facebook. So come on over, start the conversation on this episode. And remember, we're giving you kinky content in the kitchen every Wednesday on your favorite cast. I'll holla.
That's all for today. What feelings are you left with? Do you have questions, thoughts? DM on IG at Natural Born Sistah and let's talk about it. Oh, and don't forget to leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. They really help us grow and reach more women who need company on their hair journey. We'll chat it up next week.